So for our morning practice, I invite you to find a comfortable seated position. If you prefer to lie down, you are welcome to, and make yourself comfortable in that shape. If you are in a seated position, please take very good care to give yourself supports and props that allow your spine to rise up in its natural curves. So for most of us, that really means that we need a bit of a lift under the hips, maybe even under the tops of the thigh bones. We often overlook that and we think of just the sits bones. But if you think of a zafu, it actually supports more than just the hip bones, for example. You can make this happen with blankets too, but have a sense of grounding sort of through the base of the spine all the way into the legs. For just a very auspicious seat that can be maintained for a bit. Then you can pick a sweet seat, or you could pick a hero's shape or a rocks pose, whatever suits you this morning. And of course, remember that you can always change things up during the practice if what you chose ends up not serving you for the amount of time that we will spend in the opening centering. All right, with all of that said, as you're settling into your shape, please also make a discerning choice for yourself how you would like to place your eyes, maybe tuning into what's appropriate given your environment, or what's appropriate given the time of day. Maybe you keep the eyes open, maybe you close them, maybe you have them at half-mast with a gentle gaze. And then perhaps tune in to see how you might like to place your hands. Perhaps turning palms down might suggest to your nervous system that you're ready for some grounding. Perhaps palms up invites a bit more inspiration. So just check in with yourself and turn off the power of habit to the degree that you can. So not moving into an eye or hand placement that is potentially a samskara, but noticing truly what is most auspicious for you in this moment. And then invite yourself to settle in, to accept the choices you've made for this moment, knowing that you can change it up if needed, as long as you do so with full awareness. And allow yourself to arrive in this moment, in this space, in this community. You can do this in your own way, perhaps deeply acknowledging in some conscious way that you have arrived, that you have settled into this moment. Perhaps acknowledging in some conscious way that you are practicing in community, even though you might be alone in your room. Perhaps you visually connect to the boxes on your screen for just a moment to invite that felt sense of being connected to a greater web of life and a shared purpose. And then gently begin to greet your physical experience this morning, to welcome your body into your awareness. Perhaps not so much going out to seek physical sensation as you are opening your heart and your mind to receive the inputs from your body, the sensations that may already be present within you. I invite you to start that process in your own way if that is your preference. And if you'd like more guidance, then I'm inviting you to take your awareness to the center of your body, perhaps your heart space, perhaps the space of your navel. Dropping in to receive any sensations that are present at the center of your being. There's no need to label these sensations. You can revel in the felt sense of what is emerging at the center of your body. Sensation can be present whether it can be named or not. And sometimes it's even more powerful when it is sensation that cannot be named or labeled. Can you allow yourself to be with sensation at the center of your body without feeling the urge, the need to label? And can you give yourself permission to allow labels if they automatically arise? And as you continue to place your awareness in this central portion of your body, you might choose to gently allow that awareness to move outward very slightly, taking in a larger region of the body from your center outward. Maybe filling your entire torso at this point with awareness. A taking in of sensations with an open mind and an awakened heart to meet your physical being just as it is in this moment. Inviting perhaps your awareness to expand into the limbs. Noticing how that broadening of awareness brings additional sensations, experiences from the body. And ultimately, perhaps expanding your awareness sufficiently that the entire body, from head to toe, from the right fingertips to the left fingertips, all of your physical being is in your awareness. Receiving sensation, opening up, perhaps to the pulsation of life that is moving through that physical experience. That beautiful dance of breath and body. That beautiful joining of the tangible nature of your physical being and the slightly more subtle movement of the breath. How do you perceive the sensations that emanate from your physical and vital body? Are they unified? Are they separate? Is there overlap? There's no right or wrong answer here. And again, you may not even want to label this experience at all. You may simply want to feel the pulsing of life through this steadiness, the tangible nature of the body. And inviting your awareness perhaps to broaden a bit more. Is there a sense of arousal that's present? Or perhaps a sense of affective tone? You could think of this as a receiving of a sense of rajas versus tamas versus sattva. Is there a sense of the arousal state that is present for you this morning? Is there a sense of vitality, activity, perhaps even urgency? Or is there more of a sense of letting be, being very grounded, very settled, not all that interested in moving? Can you simply notice how in your physical and vital layer there is a beautiful expression of your nervous system state, of your nature in this moment? How is the life force of the breath combining with the tangible experience of your body to allow you either to feel very connected or perhaps a bit disconnected or perhaps a bit activated? If there is an affective tone, is it more on the pleasant side? Perhaps a gentle enjoyment of simply watching body and breath unfold? Or is there a sense of unpleasantness? Or maybe this affective tone, this Vedana, is entirely neutral. Maybe perceived by your mind even as a bit boring. And can you begin to notice how your mind is joining body and breath this morning? Perhaps by first noticing the process of your mind this morning, which may be quite aligned with the nervous system state that you've already begun to sort of sense, even if just somewhat intangibly. And so is the mind very active, even a bit chaotic or disorganized? Or is it kind of sluggish, tired? Is there distraction? Or is there a keen and clear presence, a keen interest in watching the unfolding within you in body, breath, and mind? Maybe there's a curiosity that is present in your mind as you're scanning your body and your breath. Not with specific labels, but with this open spaciousness, this receptivity that doesn't have to hold any judgment. A receptivity that is accepting and compassionate of whatever is unfolding in body, breath, and mind. Recognizing perhaps the wisdom in tuning into the sensations that are emerging from body, breath, and mind. Simply with curiosity, compassion, gratitude. The wisdom of recognizing when judgment or evaluation pop in, and just simply letting them be what they are. Not necessarily engaging with them, and not spinning into judgment about your own judgment, but simply wisely and intelligently noticing what is unfolding in all of these layers. Perhaps adding to that noticing the stories that may be unfolding in the mind, the feelings that may be arising in the mind. These interpretations that we make of the physical sensations, of the pulsations of life, of the affective tones. These interpretations that we make based on our experience with all of these sensations, and that we then call certain things like sadness, or boredom, or fear, or worry. Again, not creating anything here in the mind, and certainly not attaching anything to labels if they don't naturally pop up for you, as you wisely continue to observe body, breath, and mind unfolding together. What is present in your mind always affects what shows up in your body and in your breath. The sensations in your body will always influence how you breathe, how you think, and how you feel. How you draw your breath in and release your breath out can profoundly affect how you feel in your body and what unfolds in your mind. Your wise self knows this very deeply, can observe this, can be with this, can let this unfolding simply occur without judgment. In fact, with great compassion, with loving kindness. Even with a sense of appreciative joy that we can witness our own experience, that we can tune into the bottom-up signals, to appreciate them, to appreciate their survival value, their absolute importance to our physical well-being, to our sense of being affectively held and appreciated, our mental well-being, our feelings. And yet our wisdom also recognizing that these bottom-up signals can be met with top-down compassion, with top-down suggestions for how to meet ourselves in any given moment, with top-down suggestions for how we might shift or change, learn and unlearn and relearn. Having met all of your layers of experience in this moment, to some degree perhaps, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart if that serves you as you bow your head to your heart. To take a moment to see if an intention emerges for your time in this shared space today. Inviting that intention to find you as opposed to going out and seeking it. And so it may come to you as a felt sense. It may come to you as an image, as a symbol, or it may come to you as a word or a phrase. Or it may come to you simply as an open space right now that can be filled with a more concrete intention later. Whatever is there for you, can you invite it into your heart with your next breath in? And would you like to send it silently outward into this shared community with your next breath out? If you are lying on the earth, this would be a good time to transition to a seat. If you are seated with one leg in front of the other, switch the cross of the leg. If you would like, you can keep your hands at your heart for a moment longer. You could even keep your eyes closed as we then gently release the arms to the side. Each one of us in our own way. Maybe the hands touch the earth and briefly feel into the earth to connect and ground. to receive the input from the earth, that we are anchored to this planet, to this shared web of life. Or maybe your hands landed on your own thighs or wherever, and yet you can feel that same connection. Whenever you feel ready from here, I invite you to open your arms out to the side as you draw a breath in, allowing the palms to touch at the top, pausing perhaps, and as you exhale, allowing the arms to flow to heart center, perhaps pausing here. And then with an inhalation, allowing the arms to reach out to the sides at shoulder height, opening the heart. Perhaps pausing, exhaling to bring the palms back together to the heart, or a pause. Inhaling to reach up toward the sky, perhaps letting the gaze follow the palms. And then exhaling the arms around the world, back to your own heart, taking it all in. Inhaling and reaching up toward the sky, palms touching, to pause briefly, drawing the palms to the heart, pausing. Inhaling to open the arms wide, exposing your heart. Exhaling, drawing the palms together at the heart, bringing the world to you. Inhaling to reach up toward the sky, perhaps the gaze follows. Exhaling the arms around the world, back to your own heart for one more round. Inhaling, reaching up and overhead for a pause. Exhaling, drawing the hands to your own heart. Inhaling, embracing the world, embracing this community. Exhaling, drawing it all into your own heart and letting it settle there for a brief pause. Inhaling to reach up one more time toward the heavens, toward purpose, toward meaning. And finally exhaling, arms around the world to bring meaning and purpose into your own heart. Can you once again sense into body, breath, and mind? Perhaps just as an acknowledgement that they are with you, that they are with all of us in this community, that you feel whole in this moment. And feeling whole does not mean feeling happy, that's not the same thing, but just feeling gathered into one place with everything that's there, whether that's unpleasant, pleasant, or neutral, painful, comfortable, or strange, sad, happy, or worrisome. Can you embrace it all? And then I invite you to shift onto your knees into a tabletop. And in this tabletop, please bring with you the awareness you've created of your body and your breath and your mind. And so allow the expression of this tabletop to be one of compassion for what you noticed. And so maybe, just maybe, you take your mat and you make a fold for your hands to protect your wrists, if that serves you. Or maybe you take your mat and you create a fold in the back. You could, of course, use your blanket if you have it, but we don't always need a lot of fancy props to create comfort. So your knees could be on this double fold of the mat. The bottom line about these invitations is really to use that tuning in, that awareness of body, breath, and mind to create a practice on the mat that brings that same gentle opening of your heart and that same infusion of your wisdom into everything that you do as you begin to move more actively. And so I'll leave you with that invitation for the entirety of the practice as we move into a gentle inhalation that allows the belly to come perhaps a bit closer to the earth as the head maybe gently lifts. And with the exhalation, a drawing of the navel toward the back of the body, maybe creating a tiny bit of an arch in the spine. Maybe the head releases toward the earth, crown of the head perhaps facing your floor. As you flow a few more times in your own breath here, we will not be synchronized. If we are, that's just happenstance and maybe a beautiful synchronicity, but be synchronized within yourself. So allow the body to be moved by the breath here. Allowing yourself to find a range of motion that's appropriate for the nervous system state that you met earlier. So maybe if you're feeling a bit sluggish, you invite yourself to move with a bit more vigor than you actually feel, to invite your body, your breath to awaken perhaps just a little bit more, but not over-efforting. Meeting yourself with compassion and with the capacity to notice if something serves you. And so if you started with a bit of agitation, maybe you notice that you need to move more quickly for a few rounds, and that then all of a sudden the movement can become more gentle, a bit kinder, a bit softer. Be your own inner guide here. Meeting your bottom-up sensations with a beautiful, compassionate way of supporting yourself more fully. Couple more times through this gentle flow. And then the next time you have arched, when you come back down toward the earth, perhaps rest in neutral for a moment, maybe sensing into the reverberations of that flow, not just in your spine, but in the entirety of your physical being, maybe in your breath, even in the story or the feelings that are unfolding in the mind. You can always stay there with this pondering, or if you would like, you can take your right hand and you can place it kind of under your nose on the mat. This may be slightly different for you, so play with this hand placement. You may also want to widen your knees a bit, so just know that that's another dimension that you can play with in how you're placing your body. And then bring all the weight into, or rather take all the weight out of your left hand, and for a moment just slide that left hand ever so slightly through the opening between the right arm and the legs as you exhale. And then with an inhalation, open yourself up to the left and just notice how far you want to open. Don't do this out of habit. As you flow a few times, exhaling, reaching through the opening of the right arm and right leg, and inhaling to lift, really staying very attuned, perhaps even with eyes closed, to all of these inner states that you identified earlier. Staying connected to the bottom-up sensations from your body, from your breath, even from the more habitual ways that your mind is moving in, your mind state. And then perhaps bring a little bit of wisdom to this movement by adapting it to what you think will serve your well-being in this moment, especially your mental well-being. Not to say that that's separate from your physical well-being. It's really not. And take this flow to the left a couple more times at your own speed, in your own way, with your own range of motion. And then when you feel ready, very mindfully, very deliberately switch sides. Like, don't just automatically do the same thing on the right that you did on the left, but instead let yourself find out, oh, where do I want to place my left hand? Is it straight under the nose like I did with my right hand, or how can it maybe be different? And then with an exhalation, whenever you're ready, the right hand reaches through the opening between the left arm and left leg. And the inhalation invites you to reach up if you haven't already. And bring the same curiosity, the same sense of novelty to this side with which you greeted the other side, finding your range of motion here, feeling the reverberations of the movement, not just through the spine or through the body as a whole, but into the breath, into the mind states, the mind stories, and even into the feelings that you may have brought with you and that may be evolving already through this very gentle flow. You can decide whether your eyes are open or closed. The actuality of the movement is completely up to you. The meaning of the movement is also yours to create. Couple more times. Is there a possibility to bring a bit of joy into the movement as well? Is there an advanced version of this flow that brings a smile to your face? And when you have ended your 2 more rounds, come back into neutral. And you can, of course, tune in and be here for a moment. You could come even to a child's pose if you wanted to. Or if you are ready to move on, you can lift the right hand and the left leg. You could keep the left toes on the ground if you feel a little bit unbalanced this morning. So check in with yourself. And then just notice how things shifted at the center of your being. We started the practice by being very aware of the center of our body. How is the center of your body different now? Not just because arm and leg are lifted now, but also because you've already moved a little bit. But notice how your body is adjusting itself in space and become very curious about that. Notice how your muscles are working to maintain your stability here as you're balancing on 2 limbs. And then if you would like to go beyond a steady balance here, you could choose to move the right arm over to the left as the left foot moves over to the right, creating a bit of a side bend, a lateral flexion on one side of the body, and a bit of compression on the opposite side. And then flow back to the starting position if you did make that flexing sort of movement, and then perhaps repeat a couple more times, 3 more times, exploring your balance, exploring your range of motion, recognizing how this movement may now be shifting your breath, noticing how this possible challenge is affecting your mind state, your mind story, maybe even the feelings that you brought to the mat that may have already evolved. And then whenever you feel ready, you can release these limbs down to the earth and either find a moment in tabletop or a moment in child's pose, or a moment in down dog, yogi's choice, before you switch sides, allowing the body to recalibrate in some shape that suits you in this moment. And use that interoceptive sense that you've developed to notice, what do my wrists need? What do my feet need? What would be good for my knees? What is good for my mind state? Which emotions may be served by how I'm taking this pause between the two sides, so that I'm not just running from one challenge to the next in a way of maybe meeting a challenge head on or avoiding a challenge by getting it over with, but that you're allowing yourself to absorb the challenge of the movement on one side, that you allow yourself to come back into this moment, and that you then evaluate whether you are ready for the second side. And if you are, begin to transition yourself back to your tabletop. And if you're not ready for the second side, just know that nothing terrible will happen if you do something only on one side, or if you do it for less time on one side. As you then, perhaps, if you choose to do so, lift the left arm and the right leg, finding first your balance. Just notice the mind's proclivity to jump ahead. You already know we're going to do some side bending here. But first we're going to balance. Of course, if you feel absolutely driven to start with the side bend, the movement, feel free. But if you're willing to just explore for a moment, find your balance here. Come into challenge with preparation, with patience. And maybe your nervous system is different. Maybe your nervous system would rather avoid and is going to say, let's just stay in child's pose. And then, you get to decide top down what might be the most auspicious choice for you in this moment. If you are going to side bend, this is a good time to maybe start that, reaching the left arm to the right, right leg to the left. Flowing a few times, noticing if there is some kind of predisposition that you have for speed versus slowness. There's no right or wrong. It's about beginning to learn what your habits are, to learn how to evaluate whether those habits serve you, whether they come from a wise place, or whether they're more reactive, coming maybe from a more implicit sort of memory place. And then making a choice. Couple more times. Starting each movement as if for the first time. And then returning the limbs to the earth. And perhaps, if that serves you, coming back into either a rocks pose or a hero's pose, where with a hero's pose, you could take a block, widen the feet, and bring the block under your seat for a bit of support that allows for a more natural lifting up of the spine. As you collect yourself now in this position, in this shape, in this moment, to feel the reverberations of that very gentle expression of a few movements of the spine. You could stay here and continue to feel the reverberations, or you could choose to take your arms, open them up into cactus, and leaning perhaps slightly back for a bit of a back bend and a heart opening, And then coming forward into your version of some kind of bear hug with a forward fold over your legs if that suits you. And then flow in your own way for a few rounds into spinal flexion and extension in your own way. If you would like to add the attention focus of switching up the cross of the arms as you hug the arms in and move forward, that is totally up to you. Today's more of an open-hearted exploration than a clean dharana sort of focus. So if your arms don't alternate because you don't want to pay attention to that, that's fine. But don't zone out. Don't tune out in this flow. It's so tempting, but stay very present. The next time you lean forward, let that be your last time. Rise up to a seat. Take the block out from under you if you use it. If you are in rocks pose, there's nothing to remove. Come back forward into all fours, into your tabletop position. And then curl the toes under. Hover the knees. And then bring your right knee to the left wrist. Keep the left leg hovering, then the left knee to the right wrist. Keep the right leg hovering. And just take a few rounds of this touch and go. You could be on your fists if this is hard on your wrists. And since if you started with me with the right knee to the left wrist, end with left knee to right wrist, and then come back into your tabletop and breathe. And notice what has changed in your breath, what has changed in your mind. Noticing how your nervous system is perfectly capable of re-regulating your heartbeat, your breath rhythm. As you then perhaps descend to your forearms, linking, interlacing your fingers, bringing perhaps the elbows directly under the shoulders. Once again, curl the toes under. And once again, hover the knees. You could slightly lift your hands so that you're not pouring your weight into your poor little pinky fingers, but that instead the hands are lifted joyfully toward the sky as you lift your bum back and up behind you to find yourself in what we might call a dolphin shape. Maybe your body is in such proportions that your feet need to walk back a little bit to create ease here for you. Maybe it's the opposite, just notice, because we're going to take this dolphin swimming for a few rounds, where you're going to inhale and bring perhaps the shoulders ahead of the elbows, coming into a dolphin plank. And then exhale, coming into a dolphin, sticking that little dorsal fin back out of the water behind you as you pulse with your breath a few times. Staying very attuned to body, breath, and mind. Staying very curious about any mind story that's emerging here. Staying very aware that movement affects breath, that movement affects the mind, that breath affects movement, in fact, perhaps guides movement, and that breath is linked to mind stories, mind states. And ultimately, that mind stories and mind states can affect how you move. Couple more times. If you can handle it, you can always come to your belly and simply rest and say enough of that. And then when you have come back into a dolphin plank, you can lower the knees to the earth. You can let yourself release onto your belly. And if you would like, release the head, maybe coming to one side, cheek on the ground. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to keep talking to you and I don't want to lie down on my mic. And let yourself relax and let go completely. If you don't have comfort in resting on one cheek, one nice way of cradling the head is by folding your fingers, interlacing the fingers, but not with the fingers resting on the back of the hand, but on the palms of the hand, so the fingers fold under. And it makes a nice little pillow for your forehead. So you could try that as you allow yourself to once again relax and release into this moment. Checking in with your physical being in this more unusual position. Perhaps rescanning the body from the center outward, gently, lovingly, wisely. Checking in with your breath. What is the texture, the flow, the sound? How is it pulsing through the body? And check in with your mind state. Is there a shift? Your mind stories, your thoughts, your feelings. And then make a conscious decision about whether you would like to take your Shavasana in this face down position or whether you would like to turn onto your back. Yogi's choice. And when you have arrived in the position in which you will take your Shavasana, gently release and let go of any unnecessary holding in your body, surrendering the body to gravity. Release and let go of any unnecessary efforting in your breath, surrendering the breath to the flow of life force that connects us all. Release and let go of any unnecessary thoughts or stories that want to continue to unfold in the mind. And trusting the mind to your deeper inner wisdom that will bring you back to what's important. And that can allow you in this moment to let go, to let be. And from this place of letting go, of letting be, I invite you into about 3 minutes of silence until my voice brings you back. And very gently begin to reawaken your senses, perhaps gently scanning into the outer world of sounds, aromas, textures, and then gently drawing your awareness into your inner world yet again. Once again, meeting sensations from within your physical being. Perhaps once again becoming aware of the pulsation of life through your body. Perhaps once again moving into a felt sense of your entire being, body, breath, mind, wisdom. Allowing yourself to move, wiggle, stretch, or remain quiet as it serves you best in this moment. And then perhaps before you move anywhere, you plot a strategy in your mind about how you would like to rise up to a seat with awareness, with compassion, with respect for what is unfolding within you in all of your layers. And whenever you have arrived at a seat, if it serves you, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart as you bow your head to your heart. To take a moment to yet again bring your awareness to the center of your being. And to notice if there is a takeaway for you from class today. Something that emerged for you that seemed interesting, important, curious, odd, helpful. And if there is such a takeaway, does it in some way connect to the intention you had set for yourself at the beginning of class? And in that connection between your experience during class and the intention you had set for class, is there a dedication that wants to emerge for you? A dedication of the merit from your time on the mat. A dedication of merit from your compassionate, spaciously aware practice that allowed you to tune in to mind, body, breath, wisdom, perhaps even joy. If such a dedication emerged, perhaps you choose to draw it into the center of your being with your next breath in. And perhaps you choose to send it silently outward into the greater web of life with your next breath out. Thank you all so very much.